You can
start recording now.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll just wait for Noor to join us. Connecting audio.
Nina, you're the admin, or is it Azza in the WhatsApp group?
Let me. It's me and Rami.
Okay, so I'm gonna send you the contact numbers of Jan and Arti, so you can include them.
Add them. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, and welcome Noor, salam. Thank you for joining us. We're glad you made it too. And yeah, we've just briefly introduced ourselves, and I will now start because, as we know, we're having a limited amount of time. Before I do that, I forgot to say that though, but that we are, both Arti and myself are part of the core group, but it's headed by Sadia, who had an amazing vision and dream to start transformation of Lebanon. And we are just honored to be a part of it. But it's Sadia who has been driving this for the last, nearly 2 years now. It's about 20 months or something, how time flies. But some amazing things have already happened. I'm sure she's talked about this and we'll find out a lot more about this, but we are now glad that you're part of this amazing journey because it's only going to get better and better. And if ever we need it better, I think now is the time. So yeah, what I would like to just briefly say and about the history of VBL, and it's going to be brief. This is not something that we invented. I don't even wish we had, because I could never have thought about myself anyway. I think the ladies might have, but this is something that has been going for more than 40 years. And what had happened was that in about 40 years ago, in Amish country in America, there were a group of 7 businessmen who did much better than everybody else around them. And it was one particular business especially, and there was 2 gentlemen who wanted to find out why this was happening. And one of them definitely is still part of it, Bernie Torrance. They went into the room and they found out that on a Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock, these 7 businessmen were discussing one scripture. They were discussing it, but not only that, they were implementing what they discussed during the week. And this made them much more successful than the rest of the people. Now, it was scripture at the time, and that's how it started. They still are available with principles, but they found out that if they use scripture, a lot of countries where they would like to use them, they would go to jail. So they took this, all they did was they took the scripture out and replaced it with wonderful quotes and statements that are pertaining to the values, but the rest of the values are just about identical. And this has been going for 40 years. They, John Maxwell, who's also he's in the board of the organization. He said for many years that they should start doing this as a for-profit organization, because that's the only way they're really going to spread this more effectively. And because there was people in Colombia, Colombia is now a tourist country, but it took 3 people when they started. It took them 25 years to create that tourist country. Of course, they've still got problems, but it's a lot better now than it ever was, thanks to the values. And amazing stories from that country, as well as every country that this goes into. So this is actually something that in 2014, we went to Guatemala in 2013. I hope we've got the time to share the video with you about this. But after that, in 2014, they decided indeed to start this as a for-profit, and I was fortunate to be one of the founding group of people who got trained as a specialist. And now we've got, in our core group, we've got four specialists. And also we've just, I know that there's another Lebanese person who's just become a specialist, Marwan, which is also great news, because we need many more. But also it starts with being part of a group and then becoming, as you are now, going to be facilitators. So that's a brief history, but I mean, this has been spreading all around the world with tremendous impact. And I know that you already have been impacted, and I know for sure that you will make an amazing impact with this process. So having said that, I'm going to share my screen just now, and I'll make sure to get the right one. I've got a few things open for this. Yeah, that is the. So first of all, to talk into the facilitator itself. I mean, I'm sure that some of you have already facilitated and have been part of this group where Sadia facilitated as well. And it, of course, as it says, the facilitator plays a very important role in the roundtable process, because a facilitator can be defined as simply as someone who enables a process to happen, especially someone who encourages people to find their own solutions to problems by modeling the process. So there is a few things that when people have been trainers, they've been coaches, they've been mentors, it also often gets a little bit confusing what we should, can and should not do. So what a facilitator really is not is a coach, a teacher, a counselor, or a commentator. Every one of them has got their place, but not in this process, because we are not here to fix other people or give correction. We are not there to impress others, for sure, and we're also not there to teach or lecture. Now, when we say what a facilitator is not, we always want to know what a facilitator actually is. And a facilitator is a participant, a model of authenticity, and an honest contributor. See, when we facilitate, we challenge ourselves, not others. And we are not ever afraid to expose our own weaknesses. It is said that people like successes, but they love failures. And that's not that they love to see failures, but failures actually connect us, even as speakers, they connect us better with our audience than successes will ever do, because that makes us all human. And then facilitator shares from our own life and experiences. We love people and respect their opinions, which is very important. There is no judgment in any of these processes. We keep the group on track. Also very important, as you might have noticed already, when at first maybe people hold back a little bit because this process is very new to people and very unusual. But as people start to open up and they feel that, you know, yes, this is a safe place where we can all share, regardless of our background, our cultural diversity, our religion, our religious beliefs, or political affiliation, we can share with each other because there is no judgment for anybody by anybody, which is unusual in life, but it's something that we really enjoy in the process and see people opening up because of it. And they follow the 5-step process. And as I said, keeping people on track, when people start opening up, we know when we have 1 minute to talk about one thing, and then we 1 to 2 minutes to share what's in our evaluation box. That can soon get out of hand, and people start talking for 5, 6, 7 minutes. And then in their evaluation as well, they talk for twice as long. Well, you can do the maths. If there's 5, 6, 7 people in your group, how quickly that gets out of hand. So we always, in the process, that's why we follow the script, as Arthur already said, completely. And with about 5 people, that shouldn't take more than half an hour, and with 10 people, not more than an hour. But the reason is, if we're finished before that, and usually we are, if it goes right, usually we are finished before it, after the process is finished, which we start right at the start of the meeting, then there is always time for people to add something that was important to them, to have a discussion about different things. But say, for example, if we had 45 minutes, and then if people need to leave after 45 minutes because they've got an agenda, they've got other meetings, whatever, then they can leave. But if there is room, then people can still have a discussion about this. But at least they know that the process should be finished first, and then people can discuss these kind of things. And then the benefits of the roundtable, a way for personal growth to happen every single week. I think it eventually happens every single day, but that's a different. But I mean, it's personal growth. Arthur and myself, actually, when we got really engaged with this, we for ourselves, we renamed this process from values-based leadership to sustainable personal development, which is really what this is. And another benefit is that the opportunity to make a significant investment in others. I mean, John Maxwell always says this, and strangely enough, when I first joined the team in 2012, I'd heard him saying, once you have tasted significance, success will never be enough. I had no idea what the difference was. But when we went to Guatemala in 2013 and we trained 19,000 people in 3 days in this process, I saw it and I felt it and I experienced it, in so much so that I wanted more of this, but not only for myself. I wanted other people to feel what I felt in that week in Guatemala. And that's success is for others, for yourself, and significance is for other people. So when you get the benefit of facilitating this to other people, you're pouring into other people, and you know, to see them grow and to see things opening up for them and having aha moments and all these kind of things that happen during, whether it's in the first few weeks or along the process, even when they start facilitating themselves, it's absolutely amazing. But people, I always say to people, once you get actively engaged in this process, you will change. And that's for that, and because you will change in a positive way, not that there was ever anything wrong, but because you will change, I also take other people with you, especially your family, your friends, the people you know and care and love for. So it assists you in building relationships and trust. And it increases awareness, especially in the area of your blind spots. And that's always where because that's what they call blind spots, we don't see them ourselves, but we can become much more aware of so many different things. It's not just the values, but the values make us aware of so much more in our lives that we can develop, or even we are good at, and we can help develop in other people through this process. It allows you to learn from others. I mean, I can't begin to tell you over the last 8 years how much I have learned from other people, from the different cultures, from the different religions, from the different genders, from the different age groups, from everybody, from all kinds of different people in so many different countries. And that's to me is a privilege and a real benefit indeed. And then the last one here is it encourages you to reprioritize your thoughts, to change your thinking to what really matters. And that is very important. It's so easy, especially during these days, to really get caught up with things that yes, they're important, but do they really matter to us and to the people around us? What is more important? I think in the last few years, we've all found out some things that are much more important than we ever thought, and other things that are not half as important anymore. And usually they are things. Then there is also some facilitation tips. And I will go through these as well, and then I'll hand it over again. But roundtables help to bring about transformation, which is a process, not an event. And what that really means is that, yes, it can happen in the first value, and it has happened. In fact, the value of compassion is how we are here now, because when Sadia and Fadi were in the group, when we first started this during lockdown, even though Sadia already had the vision for this, it was an amazing value which started the whole ball rolling in the process. And as a facilitator, you must go first and model what others are to do, and model the minute. That when we say you've got 1 minute to do one thing. So as a facilitator, if you start talking for 5 minutes, then you can't tell other people, hey, you've only got 1 minute. So we need to really model the process as rigid. And that doesn't mean that if people have talked a minute, you say, whoa, time up. No, sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Some people take a little bit less, but that not everybody starts having a conversation. That's not the time for this. When I apply truth to myself, it brings transformation. If I try to apply truth to others, they feel judged and resist the process. No one operates well under judgment. And as this is the quote for this whole process, transformation begins with me. And that's also, we've all heard the other one where it says, be the change you want to see in the world. This really talks into that, if we change, everything else around us will change too. And everyone is given an opportunity and is encouraged to participate when they go around a circle and ask every person to take a turn reading, sharing, or answering. And that is so important because so many people have never had a voice. They've never been heard. Here, everybody has a voice. And if someone wants to pass, again, do not force him or her to participate. They're part of it. And if they might at first feel uncomfortable reading, especially if it's in a different language, of course, but they might just feel uncomfortable because they're shy, but they're there. They can participate, but if they say, oh, I don't want to read, just say thank you and move on. And that says it. Say thank you when someone shares rather than very good as well. This is something that we found out as well, that, we can all make our own spin on it and say, well, that was wonderful, thank you. But that can't be done by everybody, because some people pour out their heart and it's something that really speaks to them, and it's something really dark. You can't just say to everybody, well, that's wonderful, thank you. So just plain thank you. There is a lot of power in thank you, because sometimes we have a talker in the group, and even when they take a breath and they've already talked for a couple of minutes, you can just say thank you. And that is very respectful in a way, but it shows that that we move on to the next person. But there is a lot more power in it, because it also shows people that you respect every time they take part, whether it's reading, whether they share, or whether they share their evaluation box. A thank you is just appreciating people just to take part. And how often do we really hear thank you? We can't hear it enough, and here we hear it every time. And of course, very important, everyone should use the pronouns I and me when sharing, because words like we, you, they, somebody come back in. Words like we, you, they, and people should be avoided, because it's really, we do it all the time, but it's not meaningless, but it's got a lot less meaning than when we talk about ourselves. And when we talk about I and me, when I talk about myself, other people get to know about me. And that's the same, because if you talk about yourself, I get to learn and know a lot more about you. And for you as well, it is much more impactful when this happens. And then be transparent and authentic. Be willing to admit your shortcomings to create a safe environment where everybody can speak with authenticity. A facilitator can share with discretion while still being honest. See, when they say be authentic and share, it doesn't mean you have to necessarily share everything in your life. And that's what it says. You can still share with discretion while being honest. So if something, even your evaluation, if today that happens to be a 2, just because you're the facilitator, you don't have to be an 8 and a 9 or whatever. If today you were a 2, that's when you are a 2. And then you can explain why you were a 2. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, there's everything right with that, because again, it shows that everyone has days that they are not as good as other days. Even maybe another day in a particular value, they might have given themselves a 7 or an 8, but today something happened. And I don't feel very good about myself because of what happened. And so I talk about myself, why it happened, but I gave myself a 2. So the round table is a place for self-expression, never, never for confrontation. Because remember, there's no judgment in this process. Avoid topics that might build walls with a group such as politics and religion. And of course, where we in the evaluation section, where who do you know and why as a role model, that could be a political person or a religious person. It's happened quite often, but the meaning is that we can't talk about this, but that when we talk about ourselves, I think we leave a lot of these topics, sometimes even sports or other things, we leave them alone, because we want to share with people, we want to grow together. And some of these things, especially when we've got different cultures, different religions sitting around the table, that people don't just start talking all about their politic or their religion, because other people might feel uncomfortable, to say the least. So if you have an example, like for example, sometimes in forgiveness, somebody mentions their role model was Jesus, and they tell me why, and that's perfect. But you know, sometimes these kind of things might get out of hand. So they say the best thing is just to talk about ourselves as much as possible, and then when we have role models, yes, whoever that is for you. If someone tries to monopolize the conversation or is a long talker, I just mentioned that, do not embarrass a single the person out. So do not tell them to shut up. Watch for pauses in the conversation and seize the moment to direct the conversation to the next person. And that is, of course, with a thank you. And then remind everyone that suggested response time is about 1 minute. Again, and even you know, that is very clear that we never single anybody out for anything. It's not, hey, you said you were going to do this, and no. We say, even if people come back next week and they set themselves a goal and they say, okay, you know, I said I was going to do this, but I just never had any time. The answer there is not, oh, but you said you were going to do that. No, the answer is thank you, and just move on. I mean, that's all it is. There is no judgment. We know stuff sometimes happens and gets in the way. Life does. But I mean, that's just another example. See, be sure your action steps are personal and specific, and do not let yourself or others be general. So help everyone to drill down to a small action step that is measurable, and encourage people to use who, what, where, and when to help them be specific. Again, it is very interesting because we are so used to being generalized. So if on the value of listening, for example, it is easy to say, okay, every day for the next week, I'm going to listen and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And they tell you something. Now, you don't tell these people, hey, wait, that's not a good goal. You need to be more specific. The way to say that to people when they do that is, that's a wonderful goal, but could you make this more specific so you can measure it better? Because it's very difficult to measure something. I'm going to do this every day this week. And it's not likely to happen either, because many people have never really set a goal before because they think goals are for the bigger cars, the bigger homes. That's a thought, but everything begins with small goals, as the script actually says. They build on top of each other. So that if we can say, and I've got an example from the Military Intelligence Academy where a colonel stood up and he says, on Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, I am going to sit down with my wife and children and apologize for not having been a good husband, because I finally realized after reading through this value of listening that I have never been a good listener. So I'm going to apologize and promise right there and then that I'm going to listen better to them from now on. Now, from now on, that is fine. But what he did do is he says when he was going to do it, Tuesday night, even a time, 6 o'clock, who with his family, his wife and children, and also what he was going to do. So that's the kind of specifics we look for. And again, if people are general, that's a wonderful goal, but could you make it more specific? Sometimes it's not possible, so we don't want to keep drilling, but we can at least ask them if they can make it more specific. Is there, which day are you going to start at? Is there a specific day that you're going to start? You know, some of these questions to ask to make it more specific, because that is very important. And be sure, I've already done that. Yeah. Applications is the beginning of transformation. Group members give one another accountability and celebrate victories together. Now that should not be misunderstood, that we become accountable to each other, and if somebody doesn't do it, we say, hey, you said you were going to. Remember, there is no judgment. But it is actually being in a group. When I set a goal, I feel that I'm accountable for what I am saying that I'm going to do, because remember, we're going to share our evaluation box. So it is more the other way around, that I now feel accountable to the group. I said I was going to do this, and I want to do this, because everybody wants to share successes as well. And I certainly want to listen to everyone's successes on a weekly basis, because it does make me feel good as well to listen to people who achieve it on a weekly basis. And then record each participant's rating and action step to assist with the follow-up next week. John Maxwell says, everything rises and falls on leadership. Leadership rises and falls on character, and the roundtable process is designed to develop character and promote personal growth. And that's also, if you remember, every value finishes with the reading of thoughts become actions, actions become habits, and habits become your destiny. So that again talks into that. But we will also show I made up a few templates as well, which you will also get, where you can keep the ratings of this week. How do you rate yourself and your action step? And then have room for that for next week also to put a rating in there. So, but we'll share that as well if we've got time. And also there is a facilitator companion, which does exactly the same. But the roundtable groups often work best when they meet at the same day and the same time every single week. And that is basically, you will get all this information as well. As you are now becoming certified facilitators, you will get this. You will also have the script, and there is a lot of other stuff here that we will share with you. We haven't got time for this time to go through all of it, but we will share all of it with you. And now we're in the group as well. We can also answer questions and that you might have, and maybe a follow-up session where we can go through some of this, or where Sadika, whoever, can go through with you in the different areas that questions arise, and just explain a few more things. But Arti, have you got anything next?
No, I think that it would make sense. Let's just do a quick check-in to see if everybody's still with us and if they're following, and if there's any questions.
From my side, everything is clear.
Okay, excellent.
Same here.
Same here.
Awesome. Then Jan, I think it would be brilliant to actually show the companion guide, so that we can talk through that one, and also the 2 templates that you created. Because as an NGO, it's always going to be brilliant to be able to capture the data, the results, and to create an impact report and a study that allows them to even use it for the basis of gaining sponsorship or fundraising, and the ability to bring in funds for that aspect, if that was part of the area that the NGO wants to look at, of how do you engage with corporate companies. So if you can do that, would be brilliant. And then bring up the impact report, because we can just, that will be shared with everybody in the team. But when you look at the impact report, it is showing how Ireland has actually created a very simplified version as an NGO of using the values to implement it across the entire country, and how they've done it and the results that they're getting from it. And that's all based on the documents that Jan is going to show you right now. It is so simple. Sadia, a quick one. Has everybody in the team gone through the 6 weeks of the 6 values?
Yes, we've
Okay.
done more. We've done more even. We've done the compassion, and I've done responsibility with them as well. And yeah, they've done more than 6.
Okay, excellent. So
Yeah.
with the ratings, where have you captured it?
With the ratings?
For everybody's ratings of what they rated themselves, and then the follow-up on the results, the improved ratings or the new ratings?
I actually did not save anything, unfortunately,
Okay.
but they have their own, I mean, they still have the values with them, and they have their own rating and stuff. But
Okay.
in each week, they had an improvement on each value. They implemented their action step, and they have risen, if you want, their grade or mark or their
Yeah.
evaluation. So they did very well on that. My bad was not to take any data on that.
Okay. But now this gives us an excellent teaching moment of what we can do. I'm just waiting for Jan to bring this up.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So this is a Roundtable Facilitator companion guide that every single one of you will receive electronically. So what we'll do is we'll put together a WeTransfer, and we'll put that link into your group. But this is only for certified facilitators, not to be shared with everybody else. It's specifically for you, because as you start to begin your own roundtables, you want to be able to, you can carry on up, Jan. I want the actual, I don't need all of that. Okay, perfect. So what we're going to do is every week you actually capture the name or that week's value and the date. Then what you do is your name always goes first as facilitator. Now, part of the system is that the facilitator always goes first, because what you're doing is you're modeling exactly how the process works, and you are guiding people in that moment, and they follow you. So what Jan was speaking about earlier of what the facilitator does, it's important when they're talking about vulnerability and they're talking about how you actually show up on a value. Now, the important thing is that I know that ego plays a huge role in pride and how people want to come across. And I think that when it comes to the values, when you rate yourself with the reality of how you're feeling in that moment. So if you feel good, that is wonderful. And you will rate yourself between a 6 and 7, 8, 9. My suggestion is don't do a 10. The reason being is that you want to be an encourager through the process. And you want to be showing people that everybody you can be good, but there's always room for improvement. Because when you do that and you put your initial rating, you can actually show improvement on the week after. When we talk about, so what were your results? What was your action step and your results? And so you want to get to that point where you write down your name first. What was your rating on that value? What was the action step? Now, the important part about the action step and why the roundtables are so important is that it allows you to actually gauge the development of the person. So when you're using this structure, you're able to then gauge in the group who attended, what was their initial rating, and when they come back the following week, what is the improvement on the rating. Or there are times when you're going to get to the point where you'll be surprised if somebody gave them a 6 in this week. The following week you come back and then they say, well, on the value of restraint, I gave myself a 6 last week because that is how I felt in that week. But since I did my action step and I've come back, I give myself a 4. And the reason being is that I had no restraint when people were arguing and screaming, and I reacted. I went back to the way I normally engage, and that is to defend myself, and I reacted. So I think that for this week, I'm giving myself a 4. Now, as a facilitator, you are not going to be saying, I'm so sorry, you know what, you can do better. You're not going to be an encourager in that way. By you simply saying thank you, you're acknowledging that the person has grown in their ability to step up in that moment to actually say, this is how I really felt, and you're creating that safe space for people. And I think that's a very important one, because we're always taught that you should always be improving. But realistically, every single person's a human being. And based on human interaction, you are guaranteed to have good days and bad days. The choice remains in how we are able to then guide our ability to respond or react in that moment. And this is why we rate ourselves, and then we are continuously looking at our action step. Now, with the action step being very, very, very specific, we want to make sure that we drill down to the importance of why we need to be more thoughtful and more intentional in the date, choosing a day, a time, and who we're going to interact or practice the value with, and exactly what we're going to do. And you want to actually capture that action step. So it would look very, very simple of just saying, let's just say it's Jan. His initial rating for the value of a respect is going to be a 7. And his action step is, on Sunday, he is going to be interacting with his friend at 8 o'clock. And what he's going to do is he's just going to listen and be quiet and accept, out of respect, the other person's decisions and their thoughts without having to try and realign them. Now, that was a long sentence. Now, as a facilitator, all you're going to write there is Sunday, 8 o'clock with a friend. Jan is going to interact with and ask questions and just answer with respect. Now, what happens is the following week when you come back, now as a facilitator, because you've been writing down everything, you're keeping track of people's action steps. And sometimes people forget what their actual action step was supposed to be. And that's how you can just gently remind them. However, what is important about this one, Jan, if you can share with us your Excel files, that would be brilliant. Now, bring it up immediately, so you don't have to wait until I'm finished talking. What is brilliant about the...
I just have a question for this template, please, before we move on.
Sure.
We have to complete it with each and every group, right?
Yes.
And to track it, how to track it, yani, after 1 week, and then on weekly basis, after all the values done with the group, right?
Yes. So you'll see that on this template, there's space for 12 weeks.
Okay.
So each week you'll be able to, with that group. So if you've got group 1, you're running it with, let's say it's women only group. This would be the template for that group specifically. Then you can use the same template for another group. Let's say it's youth development, or if you've got some corporate sponsors. So you can just use the same document for different people. Now, with the one that Jan is bringing up next, you're going to see how it's been simplified, because that is the professional document we all received as specialists. Now, the simplified version is an Excel form, which makes it a lot more easier for you, because what I normally do is I write down in a book, and after the value is done, then I capture it onto the laptop when I get a chance. So you'll see how that beautiful document, if you don't want to spend time printing that out, which costs a lot of money, then this one that Jan has got is going to be excellent for you. You'll notice that this is one that he did. This is the value of connection that he started with a men's only group. And what he did was he wrote down, because he was he actually highlighted who the facilitator was in red. So that actually shows you the facilitator and the name, what was the value for the week before, and what is this week's value and the date. Now, what he's done is he's written down the rating in that first week. What was the action step, the SMART goal? And then what is the week's rating after the action was taken? So this is a clearer version that you can see immediately. If all of your facilitators in your group do their own and they send it to you, you can actually create a file that actually shows the development of people in each of their weeks, where they actually grew or where they felt that they were quite happy. You'll see some of the people who actually had a 4 and then they gave themselves a 6. And I think that's it actually is heartwarming for a lot of people to see how this has been impacting their lives, because sometimes we go through motivational programs or we go to seminars and conferences, but nobody actually can show you the growth. Now, a lot of companies will ask you, what is the return on income on this? Jan, can I have the other document, please? And what you do is you say, we can show you return on character. We can show you the personal growth. We can show you personal development. We can show you conflict resolution. We can show you everything that is related to the human interaction. And a lot of people cannot quantify that unless they do pre and post surveys. So when you look at the various aspects of how you can capture this information, you can create reports on this has been the impact on the groups. Now, when you look at what Jan has done here, he's actually looked at the 6 weeks value, the one that he did online with this team. And he did on week 1, what was their rating? And then on the following week, they follow up, what was their next rating? Now, if you had to do it in this form, you can create an overall rating and you can actually see where people began and where did they grow. So this gives you a better idea of different versions of how you can create your rating that makes sense to you. But I want to encourage you to make sure that you actually do this, because it makes a massive difference to track the number of people going through the program, the number of people who are being impacted from the values within your organization. And then you can actually become a better support structure for them. You will also find that people have gone through the 6 weeks of values will come back to you and say, well, now I would like to be certified in this as well. So you grow your team of facilitators who can then volunteer to become part of your NGO and start to run the values-based leadership program or aspect of the NGO. So you could have another 6th pillar, which could be people development as one of the areas, specifically using the values-based leadership program. Now, in our country, what we did is we created it and wrote it down as sustainable personal development, because that allows people who've gone through various programs to then use this as a support structure and ongoing people development. It can be used for the personal growth plans for companies. It can also be used as a sustainability plan after people have gone through a team build, a communication training, EQ, NLP, any of the different programs, coaching and speaking workshops, whatever they've gone through. Now you want to continue their development, and you can actually upsell your facilitation time within the NGO to help people to go through the program using the values-based leadership program. Jan, is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, not really. In the last one as well, the one I just showed you, the other template, you just get a blank one and you can just copy it for how many, if you do 6 weeks, as you might have seen, is my first week that I showed was on the value of listening, because the value of connection was the first week, and I just incorporated all that. And then you can just copy the template to if you do 6 weeks, you'll copy 6 of them, and if 10 weeks, you copy 10 of them. And the same here, this is 6 weeks, but you can always put another. I've done one now where I did 8 weeks, and I just added another 2 columns. So it's all open that people can adjust them in any way they would like. And there's room for another 4 values in here as well. And if you're going to do 12 values, you can make it longer as well. So it's very adaptable. And even if you want, the mathematicians can work out throughout the 6, 8, or 10 weeks what their overall kind of improvement is. But I think it's easy to see when people get involved. So now I've got nothing else. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Nina, from your side and the team, any questions?
No, thank you. It's clear, but I will write my my email down in the chat so you can please send us these templates through an email.
So what we will do is we'll create a WeTransfer, and there's going to be
okay.
a lot of different forms in there. There's going to be more supporting documents. There'll be videos. There'll also be the impact reports. There'll also be the values in English and in Arabic as well for you. Sadia, anything from your side?
No, dear. This was really important for me as well. You know, when I did the roundtables with them, I had a notebook, just like when you mentioned it, I remembered, and I put all the evaluation and action steps on that, but I did not rewrite them on the actual ones. We really need to do that. Sometimes we tend to forget, but this is how we keep the data. You're right. We need to do this.
No problem.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that would be brilliant is just give it to one of the people that are brilliant with admin. Just take a photograph of it and give it to somebody and say, use the template and fill it in.
Yes.
Just delegate that so that you already, for the NGO, they can track which values they've gone through and what the impact was already.
Yeah.
So that's going to help them.
Yeah.
There's an hour left for us. So I think it would be brilliant if we did a physical interaction of the value of respect.
Yes, I agree on that. Nina, ready?
Yes, we are.
Yalla.
Okay, Nina, on your side, can I please ask? I know we've got Insaf and Rauya, right? And then Nina, you've got a few people on your side. How many are with you? If you can type their name into the chat box, that'll help us right now for the facilitation. So we can call each person's name out to read their paragraph. And then Jan, can you bring up value of respect, please?
Yeah, and just Artie talked about this while Nina's doing that, or somebody with Nina. I will just quickly show you this. You will get this. This is actually LIFT. It starts for, as you can see, it stands for Leading Ireland's Future Together. And Artie and myself were privileged to be part of that, the start of that process as well, where we helped in June 2018, helped them train the first 100 facilitators. But as you can see, this is over the last year. It's a wonderful report, and also in the from about page 30. I mean, there is a lot of material in there. It tells you what all they did, and I don't know if I can go down a bit further quickly to about around about here. I think. Oh, that's
around
pretty close.
page 30. Yeah.
And here it shows you it from here on in. It starts going into a bit deeper into the different values and you know, driving the different areas of the values, spotlighting some partners. There is a lot of wonderful information in there. I think, and again, it's also going to be part of your downloadable materials. But there is a whole lot in there. The only other thing I would like to just kind of quickly share with you is the one. There was actually a book written about values, which was amazing.
Jan, can I worry you? I think let's do the value
first. Yeah.
And then we can do all of the other stuff after, because I think it's important for and see Sadia's electricity is going off and on her side. Are you able to facilitate, Sadia, or do you want Jan to facilitate the value of respect?
Yes, since I don't have electricity, I'm not sure
Because I
if
saw that go off.
yeah, if my internet will last. So I'd rather give it to Jan.
Yeah. Jan, then if you can facilitate, that would be brilliant. In the room, you've got Nina Noor Hadi in the one group. You've got Insaf and Rauya. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is 5 right, Nina?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, Jan, just 5, and then Sadia and I can be observers, just so that we can make sure that we fit in the value before they've got to go.
I'm just writing all the names down quickly. That's 15. Rauya as well. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And myself. Okay.
So 5.
And I think we are all familiar with the script. And you will, if you haven't got one yet, you will get this. And the script is actually also part of the package that you will be sent. And I will always use mine too. Oh, no, is this entering the room?
I'll let her in.
Okay. We always use the script and the reason is people see me reading this and they might think I'm either very stupid or there might be something wrong with me when after 8 years I still use this. But there is a very simple reason for this. I mean, you could wake me up in the middle of the night and I can cite the whole script for you. But the good thing is when people see me reading the script, at first they see that I'm actually reading a script. And also that I am still reading it. And the reason is that I want people to see that there is no excuses why they cannot do this. See, if I just do it out of my head, people say, well, it's okay for him. He's been doing this for 8 years. I'll never be able to do this. But when they see me reading a script, well, anybody can read. In fact, Artie's younger son, he was 10 years old when he became a certified facilitator because he could read. And he did really, really well. In fact, he was in a group with ambassadors. And he did much better than the ambassador. So this is the main reason. People need to see that we use a script and people need to be able to see that they can use a script too because all they can read. So you'll get one of these too in paper form, of course. We just laminate them. So if everybody's ready, as the facilitator, I will get going. And welcome everyone. Today we will be doing the round table on the value of respect. Normally we've got a step 1. I will read it anyway because you've all done a step 1 most of the time, but in the first week you don't have step 1 because it says we're going to be going over our action step from last week and how it went for you. Remember that completing small goals through our action steps each week is what leads to personal growth, and of course I will go first. Now we have no step 1 in this week, but no, after the first week of course we have one, so we'll take step 1. So the first week we start with week number 2. Today we're going to begin by reading about the value of respect. I will start by reading the first paragraph, then the person on my right will read the next one. And we will keep going around the circle with each person reading until we have finished reading about the value, its benefits, its characteristics, and the steps to follow. As we read, underline the things that are important to you. And when we're done reading, we will each take a minute to share one thing we underline that's most important to us, along with a brief explanation of why we found it impactful. So there we go. And I've got the names of everybody as well on my list. And that's also something, it's fairly easy when you do this in person because you know who's sitting around the table. But always when it's online, you need to make a list of the names of the people you have because sometimes this thing goes on and off. And one person didn't do it because he said, I see everybody on the screen. And then all of a sudden the screen changed and he left the person out, which is, they didn't take it too hard, but it's easier if you write the names of everybody down, you can keep going down the list in the same order. So the value of respect. Respect is recognized that someone or something has value and expressing that value through our words or action. And I do the first paragraph. Respect affects how others feel about us and has the power to change the course of our lives. If we do not have respect for family, peers, authority, or ourselves, it is almost impossible to build relationships and succeed. Respect is earned one decision at a time. While it could be argued that our positions, titles, financial situations, and contacts contribute to the respect others have for us, true respect is earned through consistency, kindness, fairness, and integrity. If those who know us best respect us the most, we know we're doing well. So if Nina, if you will read the next paragraph, please.
Yes, sure. Respect is an attitude that we choose and is that ultimate requirement in any relationship. We can make a decision to respect regardless of if we do or do not like, agree, approve of, understand, or relate to another person or culture. William Ury writes in his book, The Third Side, human beings have a host of emotional needs for love and recognition, for belonging and identity, for purpose and meaning to life. If all these needs had to be subsumed in one word, it might be respect.
Thank you. Noor, will you please read the next paragraph?
Every person wants to feel respected regardless of their age, nationality, or gender. Even a young child takes notice and reacts to feeling disrespected. Respect can be shown in simple ways such as being polite, speaking kindly to those who are providing a service to us, holding doors open for others, or letting people merge into traffic. But perhaps the more powerful ways to show respect are by listening, honoring, encouraging, and giving credit to others.
Thank you. Hadi, will you read the next paragraph, please?
Oftentimes, people may confuse fear and respect. Studies have shown that fear and respect are actually opposing forces. Treating someone does not earn their respect, it creates fear. The more intimidating, demeaning, and treating a person is, the less respected they actually are. If we try to scare someone into respecting us, we are resorting to being a bully and are doing nothing to increase our reputation, loyalty, and trust.
Thank you. Insaf, will you read the next paragraph, please?
The other aspect of respect is having a proper esteem for ourselves. This starts with true humility, which is an honest estimation of our strengths and weaknesses. It is furthered by guarding our thoughts and words about ourselves and rejecting those that are untrue and harmful. Self-respect also involves living by our principles, setting healthy boundaries for others, and taking responsibility for our relationships and decisions.
Thank you. Raya, if you will read benefits 1 and 2, please.
Yes, benefits. If you are a person who respects others and yourself, you will experience these benefits. You will receive the respect of others when you treat others kindly and with respect. They are much more likely to return your respect and kindness. Respect creates respect. You will build the relationship when others feel valued. They will want to be around you. They will attract new people to you and help you to deepen the quality and depth of your relationships.
Thank you. Number 3, doors will open for you professionally. You will encourage others to trust you and to want to invest in you. As a result, you will be given more opportunities to contribute and develop. Number 4, you will bring peace to your environment. When you respect the views and beliefs of others, you will often be able to avoid unnecessary conflicts and confrontation. Nina, will you read number 5, please?
Yes, sure. You will grow and develop to your potential by honestly assessing your abilities and what you bring to your relationships and to organizations. You will see who you really could be and have the courage to pursue it.
Thank you. And then we have characteristics. Noor, will you read number 1, please?
Sure. These people are tolerant.
Sorry, Noor. There's 2 Noors.
Okay.
Okay, so I will proceed. These people are tolerant and accepting of people's differences, even when they find it hard to understand or they do not agree with the other person's viewpoints or beliefs. They look for ways to build bridges instead of walls and respond with kindness.
Thank you. And if there's two Noors now, will the other Noor please read number 2, please?
Yes, sure. These people listen to others and keep their boundaries whenever possible. They seek to understand how people think and feel and avoid doing or saying things that would purposefully embrace or humiliate them. Instead, their goal is to affirm people and encourage their development.
Thank you. Then we go to Hadi. Will you read number 3, please?
Okay. These people keep their integrity intact. They do not say or do things that go against their personal value system or allow others to manipulate them into behaving in a manner that is less than what they believe to be right.
Thank you. Insaf, will you read number 4, please?
These people have humility. They are aware of their strengths and weaknesses and their need for the people around them. They are quick to acknowledge and give credit for others' contributions.
Thank you. Rania, will you read number 5, please?
Rauya, okay. These people have good manners. They speak with kindness, use words like please and thank you, and have regard for the social customs of the environment.
Thank you. Steps to follow. Number 1, practice the golden rule. Speak and behave towards others in the same manner that you would like them to speak and behave towards you. Discipline yourself to consider others' feelings before you make choices and practice fairness. Avoid embarrassing, insulting, or belittling others and their culture. Nina, will you read number 2, please?
Approach difficult situations with humility. Take control of your pride and be willing to be the peacemaker. Do not allow your degree of kindness or the way you serve other people to be affected by their title, position, or what they could do for you.
Thank you. Then Noor, the first one, will you read number 3, please?
Noor Ma'asasi.
Yeah, listen to others. Give your full attention to people when they are speaking. Do not interrupt, judge, or make negative faces or gestures.
Thank you. Now, Noor Chami, will you read number 4, please?
Okay. Be polite. Make a focused effort to remain polite, especially when you are frustrated, angry, in a hurry, or with someone who tries your patience.
Thank you. And Hadi, will you read number 5, please?
Okay. Stay true to yourself. Set standards for yourself and boundaries for others. Do not allow yourself to be persuaded and manipulated to make decisions that go against your principles, regardless of the pressure you feel or the perceived rewards to be gained if you do.
Thank you very much. Remember, thoughts become actions, actions become habits, and habits become your destiny, our destiny even. Then we go to step number 3. Let's now go around the circle and take 1 minute to read one thing you underlined that's important to you and why it is impactful to you. And as the facilitator, I will go first. I mean, there's always new things that stand out for me or similar things, but for me, steps to follow number 2 stands out for me, especially today, and to be the peacemaker. As that was read out by Nina, I believe, it really hit me because that is exactly something that I used to do a lot. In fact, in the company in the oil industry, I used to get sent to difficult areas where there was problems to actually sort things out, and that's only because of all the studying and personal development I'd done. But I mean, it was always something that was wonderful, and I was having to be the peacemaker between our people and the clients because stuff went wrong. So it is something that I learned to do a lot, and it was always something that I respected. Both sides needed to let them talk to each other and to me, and then hopefully come to a good solution, which most of the time happened. Not always, but at least most of the time. That's why it stood out for me. Nina, will you share what stood out for you and why, please?
Sorry?
Will you share one thing that stood out for you and why?
Yes, one thing that stood for me actually, it is the respect. Two things actually in the second paragraph, but the main thing, it's about the human being have a host of emotion needs for love and recognition, for belonging and identity, for purpose and meaning to life. So actually it identifies everything for me, because in one word, William Ury, he just said that it's respect. So our emotions, maybe I chose it because we are human beings. We do things right, we do things wrong, and we are emotionally, how to say it? We are emotionally, sometimes we do things without thinking, but our emotions move to it. It recognizes and identify the things that we want to say it to others. So it's the respect.
Thank you. Noor Mek, as it says on the screen, will you share one thing that stood out for you?
Yes, from my side, it's number one, from steps to follow, it's practice the golden rule. Speak and behave towards other in the same manner that you would like for them to speak for yourself. So it is at some point a very important golden rule that sets boundaries in between the relationship of different people. So for me, it is very important.
Thank you. Noor Shami, will you tell us?
The second paragraph, respect is an attitude that we choose and is the ultimate requirement in any relationship. It's very important to share with others or interact or communicate with others the way we want them to communicate with us. So if we share respect and communicate with them respectfully, they will interact the same way.
Thank you. Hadi, will you share one thing that stood out for you and why, please?
From my side, benefits number 2, you will build relationship. When others feel valued, they will want to be around you. I think, according to my experience, respect is a key to attract people, and
okay, I don't know if I lost you already then, but thank you. Insaf, will you share something that stood out for you and why, please?
Yes, I would like to say steps to follow. Number 3, listen to others. Give your full attention to people when they are speaking. Do not interrupt, judge, or make negative faces. This is, I think, so important regarding the respect, because when you listen to others and respect their ideas, their thoughts, this is the real meaning of respect.
Thank you. And Rawia, will you share one thing that stood out for you and why, please?
Yes, sure. For me, same same and stuff. Step to follow, listen to the other. However, I'm a person speaking with my body. My face always shows what I feel inside. But I usually a good listener. That's why all my friends come to me to ask for advice, and I comfort them, because I'm listen to them, to their feelings, and give them support, respect, with respect for what they feel and what without any judgment.
Thank you. Now, okay, thank you for sharing. Now let's take about 2 to 3 minutes to complete the evaluation and action section. It asks you first to rate your current application of this value to your life on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is low, which means you believe you're terrible at it. 10 means you think you're perfect. Please stay away from choosing 5 and make sure your evaluation is for today, not at your best or at your worst, of course. Write down your answers now, and I'm going to do mine right now too. I normally quickly run through them, so we choose, apart from number 5, we choose from 1 to 10 why you gave yourself that rating, what benefit you will gain to improve your rating, who do you know and why are they a role model, and of course we've already talked into the facilitator earlier on, a specific action step what you're going to do in the next week to become more respectful or better in the value of respect. So I'm going to do mine right now as well. So if it takes 2 to 3 minutes to fill it in, and we'll come back after that. Thank you.
Maybe I'm done. Shall I start?
Yeah, I'll if you're done, then we'll. Anybody still needs more time?
Actually, no.
Okay, in that case, let's take a minute to share what we wrote in the evaluation and action section, and I will go first as a facilitator. Well, I gave myself an 8 for the value of respect. And the reason I gave myself an 8 is that I am actually fairly respectful most of the time, but sometimes I certainly need to call in the value of restraint as well, especially these days. But yes, I do my best. By raising my rating, my benefit will be to take more time to understand those who have different beliefs and opinions, especially those which I do my best with as well. It's not always a two-way street, but we can't depend on the actions of others. Who do I know? Well, I feel my best friend Hamish demonstrates his value very well, because I mean, even though and he's been my best friend for many years, and we don't always agree on everything, which is not necessary, of course, but I always feel that when we talk, that he listens to me, as I say, even especially when we don't always agree, and sometimes we just change the subject, and that works both ways, of course. But I always know from his side, he does the same, and we have discussions, we talk about things, and then we leave it alone after a while. So he's really good at that. My specific action step this week as well. Tomorrow we're going to have a meeting, and I'm just going to be listening respectfully. I think I'm going to learn an awful lot from that meeting. There's people from various backgrounds coming to that meeting, so I'm going to be listening much more than I'm going to be talking, and hopefully learn a lot while I'm listening. That's my action step. Then Nina, will you please share with us what your evaluation and action was, please?
Yes, actually, I rate myself 7. Because I do believe that in every and each value, we need to practice it more and more so we can have a better grades. Why? Because I do interrupt others while they are speaking, and this is unrespectful at all. This regarding my work, and when I'm overwhelmed, I'm not a very good listener as well. Especially these days, so I do interrupt people too much. What benefits? It would build a better relationship with all the surrounding people. More doors will be opened in my career as well, to grow and develop more and more. Who's the demonstrated this value? She's my mom. Because she was really very respectful since I was young. Whenever I do something wrong, she never shouts. She used to listen to me. She's a very good listener. She's polite to me and to others. So I do believe that she's the one that demonstrates this value. And what's the specific actions I would take? I would listen, as I said, listen to others more and practice the golden rule. To speak and behave towards others in the same manner that I would like them to speak and behave to me. So thank you.
Oh, I was muted there. Thank you. And when are you going to start practicing that, Nina?
Right now.
Okay, thank you. Noor Mek, will you please share with us, please?
Well, from my side, I would give myself an 8 for respect. I see myself like at some point following the golden rule as much as possible. Also, what benefits me if I raise my rating, to have better relationship, and as Nina said, to develop myself as well. I have also an issue under the respect, which is under the steps to follow. Number 3, listen to others. I do make negative faces and gestures if I listen to anything that I do not like. So this is something I really need to work on. And who demonstrate this value? I see my mom, actually. My mom does demonstrate this. She demonstrates it very well. She uses it on me and everyone I see. So, since I was a teenager, I've been seeing this. When should I start doing this? I will be doing it tonight, actually. I will ensure not to make any gestures on anything negative I listen to.
Thank you. Then Noor Chami, will you share with us, please?
Okay. I will evaluate myself as 7. I truly respect others and try my best to avoid underestimating any idea or even if it's not interested to me. But it's a kind of hard, so hard. So I'm trying my best to improve this thing. What benefit I will obtain? Sure, I will have more successful relationships and I will get along with much more people. The person who demonstrates this value is my father, since he's so respectful, he's so as a role model for me. Action, I would really improve my skills in listening. So as my friend said, not a very good listeners. We make actions with our faces. So I think I have to improve my listening skills.
That's great, thank you. And when are you going to start that, Noor?
I guess from next week.
Okay.
From Monday.
Thank you. Hadi, will you please share with us?
Okay, rate is 8. Hello?
Yes, hello.
Okay, the rate is 8 because I've been raised in an environment that insists of respecting each other. Okay, the benefit is by raising, okay, to stay more true to myself. Okay, my parents, number 3, my parents, because all their comments when I was child is to be respectful and respect other persons. Okay, action to be a good listener and to listen in very good way to other people to understand their problem or the message that they will عشان يوصلوا لي
They want us to know or to deliver.
the message that they want to deliver to me.
Okay, and again, another wonderful goal. When would you start that, and is there a particular person that you would start that with?
From Monday.
Monday, and anybody in particular, or any time in particular, or with any person?
What?
Is there any person you want to start that with on Monday?
Any person?
Yeah.
That I'm not listening very good.
Oh,
Can I say it in English? هادي عم يسألك إذا بدك تعمل هيدا الشيء مع شخص معين.
Yes, with all my friends and colleagues.
Thank you. Insaf, will you share with us too, please?
Yes, as a grade, I will put 9 because respect is essential in my life and it's actually a rule that I follow in my private and professional life. What benefits for sure to receive respect from others, to build relationships, to build trust with others, and peace in my life. It's like a piece of my life. Who do you know? Actually, my father and my husband. Both they are very respectful and they bring peace for the environment. They listen to the others, so they are my role model. What action? Actually, I don't have an action because whatever the situation is hard or different, or there are differences between me and others, I'm gonna work hard to keep this respect as main rule in my life.
Okay, thank you. And Raya, will you share with us, please?
Yes, I give myself 8 because I think, in my opinion, the respect comes within the personality, and respect was the main value. That's how my parents have upgraded me at home. What's benefit to be more trustworthy person and to be more well understanding the people who doesn't have this value in their life. What do you know that this value? My parents, because they were very kind and insist on this value, on how they raised me, and they are my role model in this value. What specific action can be as I think this is an ongoing process. So my action plan to practice on this value more and more, and to insist about it, especially in this difficult times we passed through it, because this difficult time maybe show the reality of each one. So how to keep this value and insist about it, it's a much important. Checklist for the daily reading. I think I'm already will be started during this weekend.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for participating, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Please remember to read the value every day. And there is the end of this particular value of respect. Arti, Sadia.
Thank you so much, Jan, for facilitating the roundtable. Thank you. And I would love to ask everybody to open the camera just to take a picture if we can. Even if you are two in one room or three in one room, can you do that just for a second? Noor, Insaf, Noor, Rawia. Hadi, how are you?
Hello.
Hi. Hello, Noor. Insaf and Rawia, please. Okay, I'm gonna take the picture anyway.
Ladies, open your camera.
Shall I take the picture or wait for you guys? Rawia, hello, Habibi, how are you?
I guess they're coming.
Yes. Insaf, waiting for you.
Yalla, she's coming with me.
Okay. Hey. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Arti.
Thank you.
Jan.
Thank
And
you.
I guess the floor is open for you, for the team, to ask any questions. If you have any questions, we still have 15 minutes. So if you have anything, please go ahead.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay, no questions? Arti, anything?
Thank you, Sadia. All good.
Great. Arti, do you
Thank
have
you.
most welcome, Noor?
Thank you.
Welcome, my dear. Arti, do you have anything
Thank you.
before we leave?
I think that because we've got a few minutes, Jan, it'd be brilliant for you to actually show the video, because that's about 7 minutes. And I think that would be stunning to show in terms of vision of where this can go.
Yeah, and before I do that, I want to also show that, like what Sadia said, I make quick scribbles of the rating and the action steps on a note just now, and then normally afterwards I transfer them to those templates I showed you. So that's when you, for facilitation, quick scribbles just now, and then you can transfer them afterwards, so you have a permanent record for them, which will really helpful. If you talk, Arti, I'll just or Sadia, I'll just go and get the video up. I'll just need to get
Okay,
it.
one of the things that I thought might be important to just reiterate while you're doing that is that the script that we've got, we'd really love to encourage you to follow the script exactly word for word every single time, and don't deviate from it. The reason being is that the more you get into the habit of following the script after each person speaks and saying thank you, it's very important to gauge the power of thank you, because it allows you to become an encourager, and it allows you to guide the process. It allows you to keep people on track in terms of time management. So if you've got 5 people in a group, you can finish that within a half an hour. If you've got 10 people, the program is guaranteed to finish within an hour. And by you are always doing that, you're able to showcase the professionalism behind the program. Your thank you also gives you the ability to be in charge as facilitator. And then you would have noticed that as Jan was doing this, he always began first. So there will be times when you've got people in the group who get excited and they want to go first. You need to guide the process and say, as facilitator, I'll always go first, because then you model how it should be done. If you say, let's take 1 minute to share one thing you underlined, you'll come across some people who are so excited about a value, they want to share 3 or 4 things. And you can just say, thank you, but I'd appreciate it if you can only share one thing for 1 minute. And one of the things that we normally do is we put up our cell phone on a timer, or if you've got a small timer, you can actually use that as a visual aid. And you say, I'm starting my time at 1 minute. That allows people to start to see that as a facilitator, you're every step of the way always doing what you're instructing them to do. Now, because you follow the script every single time, what happens is if you've got new people that join you for a value, it allows them to follow the process identically. It also allows people to feel safe enough to say it's okay. There might be some chances or challenges where you'll find that people become emotional during a value. Now, the important part as facilitator is one of the things that Jan said is that you're not there to counsel them, you're not there to coach them, and you're not there to be their psychologist. Even if you've got that skill, when it is this process, you just say thank you, because it allows them to then regroup, to go to take a walk and come back when they feel good enough. But what you do not do is say, it's okay, don't cry, and you don't get up and stop the process. What you do is you just say thank you. You just wait a few seconds and you hold that space, because you're showing absolute respect in that moment of holding that space, not talking over them and not pushing them to read or to share why they're crying. What you do is you say thank you, Sadia, for that. And then what you do is you ask the next person, you say, please can, and you call out the person's name. Let's just say, Nina, please can you read the next paragraph? What it does is it allows you to then start to facilitate a process, not manage it. And I think there's a massive difference with understanding that and knowing that when you say thank you, you're able to then close off a sentence, you're able to start the next person speaking, you're able to use the thank you to stop somebody from over talking. And when it comes to the 2 to 3 minutes, it's normally quiet when people are writing. It's important as a facilitator to not allow people to have other conversations. And so what you do is when people start to talk in that time, what you say is, thank you for your comments. Let's discuss this once we have finished the process. So at all times, you're always stepping up as facilitator, and you want to guide that so that people start to get used to that as a habit. And when you're doing that, they begin to emulate it as well. So the second you say thank you, immediately people then get quiet, and you'll find that they start to respect your time differently. So I just thought I'd throw those few things in as part of the guidance of why it is important to follow the script. And when it is done, when the facilitator says, thank you for the session, and look forward to connecting with you following week, and remember to read the value every week. When they end the session, that is when it is time for everybody to speak and engage with each other, encourage each other, give advice, and actually share more thoughts around the value. Then people can leave if they need to leave, and people can continue to talk and share openly. So I thought that was an important one, so that we don't forget to give you that as advice. And now Jan is going to share with you a final video.
Yeah, and this is the video, as I mentioned earlier on, that started a big part of this journey eight years ago now in Guatemala. So that gives you a little bit of insight what happened there. There we go.
Guatemala has many challenges. It's a beautiful country and they're beautiful people, but there's a lot of malnourishment in the country. There's a lot of crime in the country. And we were challenged by the fact that it's so young, only 20 years of age is the average age here in the country. And we thought this is the place to go to begin to affect in a positive way the next generation.
The need of transformation of Guatemala is, I think, clear in a way that we have a gap in the society. We have one Guatemala here in the city, and in the countryside is totally different Guatemala. We have poverty, we have debt, malnutrition, we have no human rights at all. So what we need is to close that gap. And the only way to do this is provide opportunity to the people to be empowered, start to believe that they can produce, and start to believe that they can become part of the whole society that will change Guatemala.
How does the transformation take place?
¿Cómo ocurre la transformación?
Begins with a calling.
Comienza con un llamado.
I want to make a difference.
Yo quiero hacer una diferencia.
Stands on a cause.
Se sostiene sobre una causa.
Doing something that makes a difference.
Hacer algo que haga una diferencia.
Spreads from me to we.
Y se despliega desde el yo hacia el nosotros.
With people who want to make
con gente que quiere hacer una diferencia.
There's one more point.
Hay un punto más.
It breathes with a sense of urgency.
Y respira, camina con un sentido de urgencia.
How are you?
Great.
Deep breath. You're here.
But I want you to understand the significance of what is about to happen. This is my greatest week in my leadership life.
It was a life-changing time for me.
Fue para mí una época de un cambio de vida.
Because in 1974, I came to this conclusion.
Porque en 1974 yo llegué a esta conclusión.
That everything rises and falls on leadership.
De que todo sube y baja por el liderazgo.
Everything.
Todo.
Not some things.
No algunas cosas.
Not most things.
No la mayoría de las cosas.
Everything.
And you gave up a lot to be here. You paid financially, you paid your tickets, you gave up a lot to be here. So when I look at you and I smile, it's true I smile because I like you. It's true I smile because you're my coach. But it's really true I smile because you're a gift of God to me. And I want you to always remember that. You get to experience with me this week my greatest leadership week in my life. We get to do it together.
One more time, thank you, thank you, thank you. From my heart, thank you, thank you, thank you for our future generations. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because this is the moment that is going to start the transformation of 13 million people.
Success this week would look like people embracing the change. And I think we're already seeing success because wherever we go, you see people embracing the change. I hear stories of people embracing transformation and saying transformation begins with me. Transformation is in me. I can be the start of a movement. And you see it in young people's faces and you hear it from people who are more experienced. But I've already heard stories that have brought me to tears and beyond. People who are embracing transformation, parents who see their kids embracing transformation and what it means to them. So success, to me, would be the continuation of what's begun.
What was pretty special was to be able to be in the round table with the administrators that are responsible for kids that are my daughter's ages. And to see that we have a lot of opportunity and a lot of upside where we live, and then to be able to come and have an impact here with those same kids. They're just kids. Tony shared, he said, they have those same dreams and goals and aspirations that they're being squashed all the time. So I'm always looking to lift that for my daughters, and to be able to come and have maybe some small impact on Tony and his department, lifting the lid on those kids in Guatemala, absolutely is beyond success to me, and I absolutely love the opportunity to be here.
And as a pastor, I've had the opportunity to do similar types of trips and to see God work in some phenomenal ways. But what I'm seeing and what I'm sensing here is mind-blowing. And truly in my spirit, I believe God is doing something that is so huge that we really won't realize it until years to come.
I left Philippines Saturday night this time, and I came here. I don't know the days, the date, the time anymore. What I do know is what I do know, that's John. What I know, I traveled over 24 hours. But after this transformation in me, I will do it over and over and over again. Thank you.
Once you have tasted, once you have really been around and seen and lived in an environment of significance, your heart will never be satisfied for anything else. And your heart will always hunger that when you communicate life into people's life. Not only lessons into people's life, but life into people's life. You will never be the same.
There we are. That's where it started. Well, for me anyway. 8 years ago, and as I keep telling people when they watch this, if this can happen in a country like Guatemala, where there also had an awful lot of problems with the average age of 14 million people only being 20, if it can happen there, why not Lebanon? Why not you?
Exactly. What do you think, Nina?
Sorry?
Can it happen to Lebanon?
If there is the will, we will find the way.
Exactly. The will is here. And I'm sure that Hakkaruna is going to take this up to the next level. I'm sure, because I've seen them on the ground. I've seen them how they work, and I've seen them how dedicated, how respectful they are towards the people they deal with. And I'm so happy that you guys have joined. You know, I was kind of starting to lose hope with Transformation Lebanon, but when Nina reached out 2 days ago and said, we are ready for the facilitators trainer, this brought hope again to me. And I know that Hakkaruna, I'm sure that Hakkaruna is going to take this today to the next level, definitely. So thank you so much for Hakkaruna team for being with us. And I want to thank Jan and Artie for their time. Thank you so much. And we will soon be hearing from Hakkaruna, I hope, right?
Yes, sure, Sadia. Thank you for the trust that you gave us, and hopefully we will make a change in the difference in our community.
Yes, I'm sure you will. I'm sure.
And then Sadia, I think just as our parting words, as always, from Jan and myself, congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome as the first NGO in Lebanon, part of Transformation Lebanon, the first NGO to have certified values-based leadership facilitators. Welcome to the team. Thank you.
Wow, it sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, it does.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear. And see you soon.
Yes, have
Bye,
a wonderful
everyone.
weekend.
Have a great
Bye,
week.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank
bye.
you. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Have a
To
great
you. Merry
Thank
Christmas.
you.
And
Yeah,
Happy
Merry
New
Christmas.
Year.
Yeah, and welcome to the family.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, dears.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Jan, you can stop recording.
Yeah, sorry.